Good afternoon and welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve and today is Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about the midfield rebuild, but before we do that, I want to go into the breaking news today that Harry Maguire has now signed his new contract till June 2027 with a possibility of a further 12 months at the end of that could be activated if the club so desire. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I've heard various things going around social media that there's a lot of people think that Harry's deserved it, and there's other members of the United fan base that say they think it's a mistake on INEOS's part to give him a new contract. Well, we'll start with Harry and what I think about him. I mean, Harry Maguire's probably the next player next to the type of treatment that David Beckham went through in that World Cup where he got sent off and we lost against Argentina. And for many and many a months, David Beckham was having threats against himself, his family. There was pictures taken of uh, dummies being hung off motorway bridges and so forth. But David Beckham, being the character that he was, worked through it and kept his head down, kept playing, kept improving, and eventually he was brought back into the fans' fold, really. But if you look at Harry Maguire, not quite as bad as that, like, but I mean he's gone through a lot of hassle and stick over the last few years about he's not good enough. Why we're getting rid of him? And for about 2 seasons, there was strong talk about selling him, and I think it was not last season, the season before. It was looking like he was going to go to West Ham. I think West Ham was going to pay in the order of about 35,000 for him, but at the end of the day, it never came off. But Harry always stated he wanted to stay at Manchester United and fight for his place, and there was a lot of the fan base against him at that moment in time. But if you look at the way when Harry was having those difficult couple of years and he was still being selected and playing for England, people were of the opinion, how come he can play so well when he plays for England, yet he's playing so terrible for Manchester United. But I think at the end of the day, with a lot that was probably going on within the club around that period of time, um, I don't know what it was and you don't know what it was, but obviously that may have been affecting Harry's performance at the times because to go and play for England and then play for the good player that we all believed he was showed something, and obviously he's stuck it out. He's over the last couple of seasons, he's become a key player for Manchester United. Especially when you look at the season when we was in the Europa League, against Lyon and so forth, the way he put himself forward in the firing line, good in both boxes, and of course we don't forget that goal he scored against Lyon. I think it was in the was it quarterfinals. I think it got us through to the semis. And the fan base really started getting at the back of Harry then. So I think this new contract is well deserved on Harry's part. I can't think of another player within Manchester United, and I've been following Manchester United now for 62 years, whereby they're coming to the end of their contract and the club speak to them and they want to keep them on reduced money. And 9 times out of 10, the players have left. They want to go somewhere else because they believe and do actually get more money elsewhere. So full credit to Harry Maguire. I think it shows the commitment he's always had to Manchester United, not only as a player but his character as an individual. Um, you know, to accept a pay reduction and want to stay at Manchester United. So I think this new contract Harry's got is well deserved, and I think it'd be very, very difficult for people to come up with an argument that they really think it's still a mistake. So just look at those facts. He's took a pay reduction in order to stay when he could have gone elsewhere and probably got at least the same money as what he was on previously, if not a little bit more. Subject to where he would have gone to, and it's quite obvious, from last season, it was well publicised by INEOS that our front line was going to be a complete rebuild, which it was. Obviously, we brought in Cunha and Mbumu and Sesko, and that's where the majority of our money went last summer season. And obviously, like with this season, it's known that the midfield is going to undergo a major rebuild. Now, if you look at the situation with our other centre halves, Matthijs and Ligt, I mean, they are very injury prone, and I think under Michael Carrick, I think Harry Maguire's pretty much started and played nearly every game. So credit to Harry for keeping himself fit, and obviously he got himself into the England squad. So it shows a lot of character of the person. But obviously, from Manchester United's point of view, I think they've looked at it and thought, well, we can't afford to do a full revamp on the midfield this year and bring in a new centre half if we let Harry go. So there's a number of factors there that I think INEOS have looked at, and the character of Harry's obviously pushed it forward even more. Matthijs, he's been out now for a number of weeks, but he's back in training, and possibly he might have some involvement or on the bench for the Leeds game next Monday on the 13th. Delete, I'm hearing through the grapevine that that there's still no prospect of him returning into training. He's possibly going to miss the World Cup. And, it obviously indicates that this back injury Delit's got is a lot more serious than what's previously been reported. So, INEOS have probably had all that in the back of the mind and thought, well, if we keep Harry on for another 12 months, we've got Harry, we've got Heaven, we've got Yoro, and we have got one or two other players such as Shaw that can play in as a centre half, and we know that Mazraoui can also play as a centre half. So I think they've looked at that and thought, well, that'll still give us 5 centre halves, even if Delete is out for a good number of months again. Nobody knows at this moment in time. So, I fully support what INEOS have done on this occasion with extending Harry's contract, and I think that the vast majority of the fan base will as well. Now going off that now, obviously into our midfield. I mean, with Harry having signed a contract today, I think it's only the matter of a few days now before it comes out that Kobbie Mainoo will have signed his new contract. I mean, it was reported before the international break when they went off on England duties that I believe that all the personal details have been agreed between Mainoo, his agent, and the club. I think it was just more of a case of putting the contract together and getting that finalised so that they can get it ready for Kobbie to sign. So I think that will probably be forthcoming in the next few days, or certainly within the next week, I would have thought, because INEOS want to get all this type of stuff out the way, because obviously, as you know, we're heading into a summer where we've got to look at a lot of different things, and obviously the midfield is the main priority. So obviously, to get Kobbie to sign his new contract over the next few days to a week will be another problem out the way for INEOS. Now, INEOS have stated that they only want to bring in 2 new midfielders, but it's come out again today that it's looking like now Ugarte will definitely be leaving, and also in the news over the last couple of days, apparently there is very, very good interest from about 3 Premiership clubs that are interested in trying to get Ugarte's signature. And at the end of the day, Ugarte is a young lad. He's had a bit of a difficult time with his run through the time he's been here at Manchester United with lack of game time. So it's quite understandable that he wants to get somewhere where he could play first team football again. So, as I say, there's three Premiership sides showed their hand as to they're interested in him, and I think they've possibly made contact with his agent to see what the availability of him is. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be going. And obviously, as we know, Casemiro is going to be going, so that's only going to leave Mainu. And if we only bring in two midfield players, that's still only going to give us three. That's really not enough for the number of games we're going to have to play with the domestic cups, the league matches, and hopefully all the Champions League games. So, how are INEOS going to do it? Because, again, it's been reported that INEOS are making Elliot Anderson our number one target. His fee has been released and believed to be in the order of 100 million, albeit it's previously been reported by Ben Jacobs that he believes it'll be below 80 million. But obviously a lot depends on whether Notts Forest stay in the Premiership or whether they get relegation down to the Championship. But Ben Jacobs was pretty adamant over two or three interviews that he's done when he's been asked that question about Anderson, that he does believe that his transfer fee will probably be below 80 million. Now, if Man City are obviously interested in it, they're not going to worry about saying, well, we'll pay 100 million for him. Now, if that drags Manchester United into it, and Manchester United are saying, well, okay, or Elliot Anderson comes to United and said, well, this is what Man City are offering me, they'll pay 100 million, these are the wages. And if the wages fall in line with what Manchester United would be prepared to pay, then obviously that's 50-50 then on us and Man City. And, they probably would go to 100 million. Now, it's been said apparently by Manchester United that if they make Elliot Anderson our number one target, or if we miss out on him and we go for Tonali, I mean, his fees mentioned to be about 100 million. That Manchester United have said will then have to sell to buy. So what type of other midfielders do you seriously think we're going to get in? Because obviously Elliot Anderson and Mainu, two midfielders, Anderson and Mainu, two midfielders, or Tonali and Mainu, two midfielders. So are we then going to be looking at outgoings, like it's been reported, to bring money in, to maybe then go for somebody like Gomez? I think there's a Bournemouth player been mentioned. There's also interest with one or two players in Europe, as well as Baleba. Now, obviously, Gomez, it was reported a fair few days ago that they believe it's been set that his fee is going to be between 30 and 35 million, because obviously they are going to go down to the Championship. To me, I think Gomez, he's played well for Wolves, and I think if he goes into a better team with better service, I think he can go up another one or two levels. So I think to get Gomez at the 30-35 million would be a bit of a steal. But obviously that's going to impact our summer transfer, really, if we lay out 100 million on a number one midfield player, i.e. Anderson or Tonali, because it's then, by the sounds of it, not going to leave a lot of money left. And then obviously there's talk of us wanting a left winger. There's also been talk of possibly a left back if funds are available. And the other thing that's gone quiet is obviously the likes of Bayındır. If he goes, we need to bring in a number two goalkeeper that can challenge Lemens, or at least be, his backup. So, you know, where's all this money going to come from? Because I can't see that the number of players at INEOS are on about clearing out. I mean, I've heard 7 and I've heard 8 have got to be cleared out. But if you look at the ones that we know are going, you know, you've got Casemiro, Ugarte, there's possibly Xerxes going. So I mean, there's possibly 3 off the 8, you know. So who are the other 5 going to be that are going out, and what sort of money are they going to raise us? You know, are they including Sancho going off the books as being one of them 8? Are they including Rashford going off the books as being one of them 8? You know, so all of a sudden we're down to about 3 players. If all those are being included in the figure of 8, so you know, who does that realistically leave that we're likely to get any good money for? You know, so I see it as a big problem. But INEOS don't really always make it known as to what they're doing or how much money they've got to spend, and they always seem to pull, you know, between 2 and 300 million out of nowhere. So is this another scenario that they're using that to try and put other clubs off the scent of how much money they've got to spend and realistically who they're going to be going for? But you know, I see it as a big concern. I mean, I know certain groups in the fan base are getting excited by saying, you know, this is going to be a bumper season for us, and you know, we're going to bring in anything up to 8 players. Well, I can see the 8 players going, but I can't see 8 players coming in. And some of the ex-legends, I mean, they're all talking of 3 to 4 players incoming. So I think possibly that is where we're going to be. You know, I mean, I can't see INEOS bringing in great figures. You know, they're going to realistically look at the youth. As we've said before, you know, when we have the pre-season, I think a lot of the young youth players are going to be given a chance while we're on that tour, in the hope that 1 or 2 more of them can come through. With the same as Heaven and the likes of Euro, you know, they've got to step up next summer. They've got to be given more game time, because at some point, you know, as we've said before, if Matthijs and Ligt's out, and then Harry Maguire picks up a knock, or you know, he can't play the 2 games a week, you've got to have the likes of Heaven and Euro as your main starting 2 centre halves now that we're playing a back 4. And then obviously, you know, it's what do we do on the left hand side again with Luke Shaw? He's not going to be able to play 2 games a week, I wouldn't have thought, and because he hasn't been selected for the England squad this year as yet. I mean, you can never say never, because even though Tuchel will select his final 22 or whatever it is, there's a possibility between the end of this season and obviously England starting their training for the World Cup that injuries could be picked up, and then all of a sudden, yes, Luke Shaw could be called up, and I think that's what Luke Shaw's holding on to, that he might just pick up a place in the England squad should somebody else get injured. But you know, when he comes back next year for next season, he's going to be another year older. He's only had to play 1 game a week this season, you know, so there's been good rest and recuperation throughout the week to prepare him for that type of game of 1 a week. But I certainly don't think he's going to be able to contend with 2 games a week. So will INEOS bring in a left back, or is it possible, as we've said before, they might look at a left-sided player that can play left back and left-sided centre half? Maybe. But again, it's all going to come down to the money, and I can't realistically see where all this money is going to come from, because I can't see that we're going to raise that much on outgoings, to be fair. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, you know, but smash a like video, get in the comments, because I do read the comments, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. It's always nice when the comments come in to see what your thoughts are on what we've discussed in the video, so that we can obviously bring those up in the next video. So yeah, you know, it's be interesting to see what start we have to the summer. I mean, obviously the manager's gone a little bit quiet now, so we would expect that maybe to pick up again later this week or early next week if the managers are going to be considered for the job, or are they just going to blag the way through it and then it'll be announced that Carrick's got the job. So again, that's another scenario that we've got to wait and see what INEOS do and how they're going to approach these things. So thanks everybody for watching the videos, and as I say, please smash a like, share the video, subscribe, and get in the comments. And I will be looking at doing another video again on Thursday of this week. And don't forget, April's fastly going through the days and the weeks, so we're fast approaching May, when we will be doing our competition every week throughout the month of May, where we give away a Red Devils t-shirt and a Red Devils baseball cap. So obviously keep your eyes and ears open for that. The competition will be on a Friday, and then the winner will be announced on a Sunday. So obviously, if you're in that, you stand a chance of winning a Devils in Red 59 t-shirt and baseball cap. So thanks very much again. Smash a like, subscribe, and share the video. And I'll speak to you on Thursday. Thank you very much.